Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and you may have noticed that I've been away for a while. In fact, I know that you've noticed that I've been away for a while because a great many of you have sent me direct messages and emails and used the contact form on my website to inquire if everything was okay. And the answer is not altogether okay, but I am back, and I thank you for your concern. I think that burnout is a pretty common occurrence for YouTube content creators or just content creators in general. And very often when one of these folks burns out, they'll make a video, they'll talk about how they're burnt out and how they're leaving YouTube for a while, or they'll talk about the difficulty in being a content creator, in creating content on a regular basis and adhering to that schedule, managing social media, dealing with nasty comments. Sometimes there's life events or personal things that are going on as well, and they'll talk about all of those in the video. I chose not to do this for a couple of reasons. First, I wasn't sure how long I was going to be away. In fact, there were points in the last month where I wasn't sure when exactly or if exactly I was going to come back. There's a number of things going on, but first let me talk about the content creation stress and dealing with comments and some of the nastiness and toxicity that you wind up dealing with within the viewer base. I'm reluctant to complain about that stuff. I think that it's kind of part of the job description. If you are going to be a YouTuber, you need to put out content. You need to try and adhere to some sort of schedule, and you are going to deal with some unpleasantness in the comments. That's just the way it is. There is probably 95 to 99% of the comments that are wonderful and supportive and will bring you happiness, or they bring me happiness. And then there's a certain percentage of people, small but effective, that are either just completely lacking in emotional intelligence, or they're entitled, or the keto police or ingredient police, or self-righteous and dogmatic, or just plain mean and just have nothing better to do. And yeah, you gotta figure out a way to deal with that. I gotta figure out a way to deal with that. So I guess what I'm saying is, even though there are challenges with being a YouTube content creator, I think some people, and especially me, make it worse by I guess inducing more stress than is necessary into their lives or into my life. I guess I should just start saying me all the time in this, because really that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about other creators. I'm talking about me. But back to the why I didn't leave any sort of I'm going away for a while video, or why I haven't teased any sort of a comeback on any social media, is I'm not looking for attention. I'm not looking for pity. My problems are first world problems. And my biggest problem is probably myself and inducing stress upon myself. I found, well, first, let me say, I have not in over 3 years, taken a break from YouTube. Even when I've gone on vacation, I've recorded enough videos that I could still release a couple, 2-3 videos a week while I was away. And I was still getting out and reading comments. I would get up in the morning and I'd read comments. Anytime I had a break, I'd read comments. If I was in the bathroom, I'd read comments. I'd read comments before bed. And this sort of behavior, this obsession with being on top of my schedule and being on top of comments just constantly started to remind me of the person I was back at GE, who was constantly stressed, constantly trying to outrun everybody else and do more than everybody else. I would look at my email the moment I woke up in the morning. I would look at my email before I went to bed. If I woke up in the middle of the night, which I usually would do, I would read and respond to email. It was just, that's no way to live. And I was starting to do that with comments as well. I felt, I got to be on top of them. I got to be on top of them and respond to them. And I don't. I came to realize that's not the most important thing to a YouTube channel. Additionally, because of my personality type, I'm an INFJ, for those of you who are familiar with Myers-Briggs, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm very empathetic. I'm sensitive to what's going on around me, to people's feelings, things of that nature. And I'm also very sensitive to criticism and things like that, or meanness is really more the problem. Criticism I've gotten better at handling, but when people are just mean and vicious and toxic in the comments, I feel that like right in my chest, and it hurts, and it makes me very sad. But I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. First, I want to share a story, and this is something that my dad shared with me back when I was a young man. He had gone to see Harry Belafonte in concert. This was back in the mid-'60s in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And it was not a sellout. In fact, I think it was probably about 25%, my dad said, of the arena was filled. And Harry Belafonte really took exception to this, and he took it out on the crowd, telling them that they're a bunch of backward-ass country folk who don't appreciate good music and racists who wouldn't come see a black man sing. And I thought, even at that young age, that was the wrong approach. You should appreciate the people that are with you and screw those other guys that don't appreciate you. And so I want to make sure that you understand how much I do appreciate all of you. My paid channel members, my subscribers, my regular viewers, you mean a lot to me. And those of you that leave positive and cheerful comments, those really make my day. And as for those others, those ones that have been sort of grinding me down and making me question if this is something I want to keep doing, I decided that I was going to get a reminder. So I got a tattoo. Actually, I got a few tattoos while I was away. But one on my forearm it's Latin. And for those of you familiar with this phrase, you're going to see the problem with it in a second. It's supposed to say, illegitimae non carborundum, which is dog Latin for don't let the bastards grind you down. This was a phrase that became popularized by the US and British military back in World War II. Some radio operator, I think, came up with it. Anyhow, I just thought it's cool, it's Latin-ish, and I got so hung up in thinking about getting a cool-looking font and the spacing and the sizing right that I misspelled it. So instead of illegitimae non carborundum, it says illegitimati non carborundum. Now the good news is I've got just enough artistic ability that I've figured out how to fix it, and I'm going back to my tattoo artist here in another week and a half, and we're going to get this squared away, and it's going to look super cool, and it's going to have a little Star Wars theme to it. But when I was getting my ink done initially by my tattoo artist, he was actually on an A&E show about tattoo artists, one of these reality TV things. And the very first day, what the producer of the show said is, whatever you do, don't read the comments, because it's vicious, and people are going to say horrible things, and it's going to affect you. So don't read the comments. That's kind of not an option for me. However, I am going to have a slightly different strategy going forward on the comments. I can't be obsessed about comments and reading them all the time. It's not a productive use of my time. And to that end, one of the things that I've been doing during my little time away is I've been doing a lot of reading, and I'm reading this book right here, Essentialism by Greg McKeown, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And it's about learning how to say no to certain things. It's about learning how to prioritize your time, how to get the most out of your day. And I realized that, to me, I think getting the most out of my day and getting the most out of this channel means creating content and working on recipes and just trying to have fun and hopefully convey that sense of fun to all of you. And hanging out in the comments for multiple hours a day is not that. It doesn't facilitate that. So I'm going to start treating comments more as a task. It's going to be something that I'll get in. I'll allocate like a half hour a day, probably before I work out, just in case there's anything mean in there. I can use that as workout fuel. But I'm going to filter comments. There's ways to filter it based on like channel member, subscriber. And I'm also just, even though I've got 236,000 subscribers, there are enough of you that I know by name. Whether you're a public subscriber or a private subscriber, I know your name, I know your little user profile picture. You folks, the regulars, you're still going to get my attention. You may not necessarily get a comment, you may not necessarily get a heart, but know that I am going to see your comment. The other thing I'm going to be a lot less concerned about is the timing and scheduling of my videos. I've been I think fairly strict on this. Monday as a podcast, Wednesday as a review video, Friday as a cooking video. And that's just not the way things work all the time. Sometimes you've got a cooking video planned and it just doesn't turn out. Sometimes it just doesn't turn out. Sometimes you're just not in a mood to do a certain type of video. So it's hard sometimes to adhere to that schedule. And I'm just going to not be so concerned about that anymore. Videos are going to pop the way they pop. I'll use the Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing sort of as a structure, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't adhere to it strictly. You're also going to see a few more kitchen-related videos that aren't purely keto. And this is for two reasons. One, just I've got a lot of passion about the kitchen and cooking and, tips, tricks, hacks, things like that. And I think those are applicable whether you're keto or not. But if those videos also pull in some non-keto folk and make them curious about keto or about low carb, that's good because we continue to build our low carb or keto army. And the more people that know how good this is and how healthy it feels, the better. So expect to see some more of those from time to time, maybe once a month. So that's kind of it about my new approach to the channel when I come back. I think it's going to result in me having more energy, more optimism, more fun, and it's my hope that that is going to kind of flow from me to you in all of my videos. Now, I will say next Monday there will not be a podcast because I'm doing this right here on a Friday. Instead, what I'm going to be doing next Monday is a special sort of promo deal with one of my affiliate marketing partners. This is a discount that they have never offered before on a deal like this. It's kind of cool. And it's a product I believe in, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I think it's a good deal. If I didn't think it was a good thing, I wouldn't be doing this video for you next Monday. So that's coming next week, and we're going to get back into the regular product reviews and cooking videos. But that's what's to come. I want to follow up on a topic that I covered in my last podcast, which now is probably close to 5 weeks ago. Sometimes when I do podcasts, I have too many topics, and I'm trying to fly through them a little bit too fast. I want to keep things hopefully tight and concise. And sometimes as a result, I think, fully get the message across. And sometimes when people fill in the blanks or try and connect the dots with the things that I'm saying, they don't necessarily do it the same way that's in my mind and will jump to some negative conclusions and then voice that in the comments. And such was the case when I talked about recipes and viewers submitting recipes to me. Sometimes they submit just recipes. Sometimes they will submit a link to another video and say, Steve, you should make this and review this or whatever. And I said that I don't look at these. I used to back in the early days of the channel, but I don't anymore. And I was trying to convey the reasons why, and I must have failed because some people sort of took exception with that statement. Here's the deal. I get between 2 and 5 recipes submitted to me every week, sometimes multiple per day. Whether, like I said, it could just be a straight up recipe. They may be sending it in a direct message. They may be sending it in a YouTube comment. Sometimes people will email me a recipe. Either that or they will link to a recipe, either something that they've made, like a YouTube channel, or somebody else's YouTube channel and ask me to review it. Steve, can you do a video of this and review it? But let me cover the second one first. If you want someone to make a video of them cooking somebody else's recipe, go to Wes at Highfalutin Low Carb. I mean, he's got that down. That is his baby. He does a great job at it. There's no way I would do a better job than what Wes can do. That's his wheelhouse right there. That's not mine. But just regarding the recipes in general, if I'm making between 2 and 5 recipes submitted to me per week, I'm not making any of my own stuff. And that's what I want to do. I want to be making my own stuff. I want to be taking favorite recipes that are non-keto and converting them into keto. I'm flattered that people would love for me to try out their recipes. I don't have the time. And I can either be making your recipes or I can be making my recipes. And my preference would be to be making my recipes. The final thing And this has happened a few times. And this is one of the risks of making someone's recipes and then saying, hey, I got this recipe from Bob, and give a big shout out to Bob, is in a few instances, people have submitted recipes to me that were not their recipe. And if I'm going to make somebody's recipe, I will go out and I will do some searching and just make sure that this isn't a copy of somebody else's stuff. One person had sent me a recipe. He said he had been working on this bread recipe, this keto bread recipe, for 20 years. It took him 20 years, he said, to perfect this. And I looked at some of the ingredients, and I don't know that all of these things were readily available 20 years ago. That was sort of the first red flag. I mean, maybe Bob's Red Mill was selling them, but I'm not sure 20 years ago. The problem was it was an exact copy of Deirdre's bread. I'll link actually to Deirdre's bread down below. It's one of those that if you've been doing keto baking for a while, you're probably familiar with. It was one of the first really sort of pretty bread-like breads for keto. And it had 11 ingredients, and this person had all of these exact same 11 ingredients in all the exact same amounts. And I wasn't going to call him out for plagiarizing a recipe, but I did say, here's a link to Deirdre's recipe. It's the exact same as your recipe. And if I make this, and I make this on a video, I'm going to be the one that's accused of stealing Deirdre's recipe. So I'm not going to do that. And then this person got very testy with me and sent me a very long, nasty email. And as a result, now it's just better for me to go, nope, thank you, I appreciate the submission, but I'm not going to be doing that. Another instance, a person submitted a recipe for what turned out to be bazoodles. So this person said that they had created some egg noodles and sent me a recipe. Now, bazoodles was a recipe that was created by, I think it was two keto dudes, I think. But they did a little teaser video where they showed them making it, but they left out the secret ingredient, and then you could pay them some amount of money. I don't know what it was, $5, $10, something like that. And they would send you a PDF with the recipe and with what the secret ingredient or ingredients were. And a person sent me the recipe, and I thought, this seems an awful lot like bazoodles, so I'm going to go and purchase the bazoodles PDF and compare, and sure enough, exact same thing. And I wasn't going to do that. I personally would not put something behind a paywall like that unless it's a cookbook. That's a big thing. But I'm not going to keep like a secret ingredient secret or anything like that. But it's entirely up to other people what they want to do. I respect the two keto dudes. If that's what they want to do, I'm not going to impinge upon their ability to make money by publishing their secret ingredient or anything like that. So hopefully that creates a bigger and better picture for why I choose not to read or make recipes that are sent to me the vast majority of the time. Now, just to wrap things up, I want to talk about November's video release schedule. It's going to be a little bit different. Probably December as well. These next 2 months are going to be a little bit different than normal, but especially November, because first we're already about a week into November and I'm doing a podcast on a Friday, and then Monday I got this promo thing, and then what else is coming up? Middle of the month, I'm going to Utah for the Keto Chow hosted meetup. This will be my first ever public appearance, and I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be happening the latter half of I don't know what week that is. I'll be gone probably like the 17th through the 20th, 21st, something like that. And as a result, there may not be a cooking video that week. You will be able to get out onto the Keto Chow channel. I'm sure they'll be live streaming certain things, or you can watch it after the fact. I will be one of the speakers at this event. The other speaker, hopefully you're not getting too much reflection off of this book here, is Amy Berger, co-author of End Your Carb Confusion. I read this book while on my break, and I like this book. In fact, I'll probably do a full review of it in my next podcast. I'll include a link to it down in the description below in case you want to get on it right away. The too long, don't read version of my review is, this is not a cookbook. This is a book kind of about how keto works and why keto is a good thing and why we should be avoiding certain carbs. In fact, I don't know that he full out says keto necessarily so much. I mean, he kind of does, but it's more about getting rid of certain carbs in your life. They're not good for you. Anyhow, I'm a big fan of Dr. Eric Westman. I think he's very pragmatic, which I enjoy. And I'm curious to find out from Amy what it was like working with him, how much she put in here. There's a lot of metaphor and simile in here, which I really like as well. But I'm very excited to meet Amy Berger. I think this is going to be a lot of fun towards the middle of the month. The week after that, we've got Black Friday. And I don't know that I'm going to necessarily put out a cooking video on Black Friday. Probably what I'll do is a little summary video of any of the deals that I'm aware of, whether they're keto deals or sort of maybe some different price tiers at Amazon. Like, here's some stocking stuffer stuff for your kitchen. And, here's sort of some bigger things. Maybe like five of my favorite kitchen utilities or utensils, gadgets, whatever. Basically, it's going to be sort of a slightly weird month. Additionally, a lot of the videos that I've been recording over the last couple of weeks have been more of that purely kitchen, not necessarily so much keto sort of stuff, just as a get my mind away from the channel while still recording and still getting sort of that therapy of doing something in the kitchen. So there's going to be, I think they're pretty cool videos that I'm doing related to my favorite kitchen device. And you'll see those coming up before the end of the year. But I think that is going to be it for this podcast. I'm glad to be back. It was a very positive experience, I think, taking this little bit of a break and getting my mindset where it needed to be to come back energized, enthused, and ready to bring you some great content. I hope you like it. Anyhow, as always, thank you for your support. Thank you for your viewership. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.